Hi guys. So I'm driving down the road, heading out of Anchorage. It's kind of a beautiful drive, so I thought I'd give you a little bit of the scenery. I'm on what's called New Seward Highway, which is the closest thing we get to an interstate, but it's kind of going to sort of end as an interstate in the near future here. Turn into like a two-lane road basically, which is going to do fairly soon. But anyway, and this road goes sort of south out of Anchorage, and if we kept on following this road, we would end up on the Kenai Peninsula, which actually is what those mountains that you see ahead of you are. They're on the Kenai Peninsula. We would have to drive about 40 miles to get there because we have to go down what's called Turnagain Arm of Cook Inlet, which you'll see fairly soon, and kind of sort of go around, I guess you could say. We have to take a long way to basically get over there if we were going to get over there. But in the meantime, I just thought we'd drive a little bit down the Seward Highway here. On your left is what's called Potter's Marsh, and oftentimes you see a lot of wildlife out there, particularly birds. It's a very popular bird watching kind of place. We also sometimes see moose there. I don't see any moose out there today, so I'm not going to turn the camera so you can just see basically a marsh. But that's normally what you'd see out there on a good urban wildlife watching day in Alaska. So anyway, so we'll just continue on Seward Highway here. Now after we get to Potter's Marsh, we're going to be then kind of going down Turnagain Arm of Cook Inlet, and you'll actually see probably, you'll see Cook Inlet, Turnagain Arm on the right, and you'll see that it's kind of like, sort of like, looks like mud flats. And don't be deceived by that, because actually the tide is out at the moment. Cook Inlet, the tide comes in very quickly, it goes out very quickly, comes in very quickly, and it's actually quite deep out there when the tide is in. And this has caused a lot of problems, especially with tourists who don't know what they're doing, because sometimes they go out there on the mud thinking, you know, they're going to get as close to a beach experience as they can in Alaska, and they end up getting stuck in the mud, and then actually losing their lives when the tide comes in, because as I mentioned, the tide comes in very swiftly. So you can kind of see out here, that's Turnagain Arm of Cook Inlet. And if you went the other direction on Cook Inlet, you would eventually reach the Pacific Ocean, the North Pacific. So that's basically what we're doing. We're going to drive along here a little bit so you can kind of get some views of what we see, you know, here in Anchorage. Pretty much, oh gosh, I keep on running over these lines. Pretty much on a daily basis. You know, this is just right. We're now out of Anchorage proper, but make no mistake, these views that you're seeing right now are, you know, about 10 minutes from my house, 15 minutes from my house. So this is not like we're going on this long excursion or anything like that. This is pretty much what Alaska looks like, what Anchorage looks like, kind of in the burbs, I guess you could say. We're actually going along the road to what is kind of jokingly referred to as a suburb of Anchorage, which is Girdwood. It's a ski resort in the wintertime, and a very popular one at that. And in the summer, they do have a lot of like festivals and things like that there. And so, you know, there is tourists that go there in the summer. It's also a good stopping off point for a place called Portage Glacier, where you can see a very large glacier and glacial lake. It's about, I would say another 30 minutes ahead if we were to continue right along this road. So anyway, so that's what we're looking at here. As you can see ahead of us, there's RVs, also something that's very, very popular in the summer. You see a lot of RVs in Alaska in the summer. We have a lot of tourists, and sometimes they, that particular RV has Alaska plates, so that might be an actual Alaskan. But then again, it could be a rental. We don't know. Needless to say, we live in a very popular tourist destination, particularly since 9/11. Alaska has become even more popular tourist destination, since some people have been a little bit hesitant to go overseas. So anyway, so here we are. We're just going to drive along the road just a little bit longer, and eventually I'll probably decide that I need to turn the camera off here, because I feel like you'll probably have the general idea of what it looks like. A lot of this kind of thing can sort of almost be compared to maybe some scenery you might see in Norway, for example. You know, mountains going right down to the water, you know, in the fjords and stuff that you might see in pictures. When I first came up here the very first time, I remember taking this same drive and thinking, oh, this is just so beautiful. I can't believe that this is, like, you know, just right outside of Anchorage. And some of the views in other parts of Alaska are even more spectacular than this one. So it's not surprising at all that this would be a really popular tourist destination. Okay, so I'm probably going to think about turning around here pretty soon. I think that there might be like a lookout up there, at which point I will turn around and go back home, because I feel like you probably have as good an idea as you're going to get from just a brief drive. I'm not going to drive all the way to Portage or anything like that. So you can see a glacier. Maybe another day you'll see a glacier. You know, it's like another day, another glacier is kind of what it is up here. I mean, we have lots and lots and lots of glaciers. Okay, so I'm going to pull into this rest area and see what we can see. I might leave the camera on just a little bit longer, just to give you an idea. Let's see if I can pull into a spot here and you can see a little bit more. Maybe not so much of the driving and more kind of the panning. Okay, let me get out of the Jeep here, so you have to bear with me a little bit. Okay, so here we are. The water is Turnagain Arm of Cook Inlet, out in the direction that I'm pointing the camera now. If you continued quite a ways down the water, you would eventually reach the Pacific Ocean. And then over there, across Turnagain Arm, is the Kenai Peninsula. It's a hugely popular place for fishermen in particular. If you've ever heard of people going, as they say, combat fishing in Alaska, that would be where they'd go. There's a couple of really very large rivers over there, the Russian River and the Kenai River in particular, that are very popular fishing destinations. And the salmon run pretty much all summer. I mean, because we have various kinds. We have silver and pink salmon and red salmon and king salmon. So we have lots and lots of salmon, and all those runs are kind of at different times a little bit. So we have fishermen here pretty much all summer. You can kind of see the road that we were on there. And all along this road, it's kind of built along the side of what you might see on the other side, over on the other side, because you can see the mountains go up pretty high. And this is where we came from. There's my Jeep in the picture there, and you can kind of see the road that we were driving along when we got to this point. So anyway, that's pretty much it. It's now around 7:30 in the evening, and I think I'll turn the camera off and say goodbye for now. But I hoped you enjoyed a little bit of, I guess you could say, my neighborhood. Okay, see you guys later. Bye-bye.